Hello there and welcome to today's lore video, which is slightly different than normal in that it's technically two different lore videos put into one, but they're both also technically on the same vehicle. The first half will be on the Bantha-II Cargo Skiff, and the second half will be on the desert skiffs used by Jabba the Hutt, which are essentially the same vehicle, just modified versions. Now, having been built by Ubrikkian Industries, which was owned by the mighty Kuwait Drive Yards, the affordable Bantha-II skiff was basically a steerable repulsor lift platform designed to haul cargo of up to about 135 tons in weight. It could carry passengers, and some were even fitted with seats and an enclosed passenger compartment, but otherwise the pilot, cargo and any crew were exposed to the elements. The Bantha-II Cargo Skiff could lift to a maximum of 50 meters above the ground, and its engines produced enough thrust to accelerate the skiff to around 250 km an hour, though this was not advised. Mainly because the skiff only had two basic steering vanes, and these could only gently guide the skiff at best. Now, while adverts boasted of a skiff so easy to pilot that even a labor droid can handle it, the truth was that only the most able pilots could get the skiff to turn at speed. The pilot stood at the rear of the vehicle at a podium-like control station. Retractable cargo ramps assisted in loading the skiff, and two magnetic lifters, which were also retractable, allowed additional cargo to be hauled underneath the vehicle. Any cargo sitting on the skiff could be tied down or locked in place with magnetic clamps, and these had to be fitted to the cargo itself though, because the skiff had no such devices fitted as standard. Now, since they were used across the galaxy, Bantha-II skiffs could also be easily modified to deal with most environmental variations. Mostly these consisted of fitting enclosed cargo and pilot areas, particularly on planets with high levels of atmospheric rain, snow and hail. On planets with radiation levels that could affect repulsor lift engines, some shielding could be fitted, and on planets like Tatooine, where sand and dust could choke up the skiff's thrust systems, filters were often fixed to intakes. Cooling systems for the engines were a further essential addition. Now, one thing the Bantha-II Cargo Skiff was less effectively modified for was any military role. While additional armor plating could be, and often was, added, the craft remained vulnerable to even small arms fire, leading many to choose other vehicles that were more easily and effectively adapted to combat situations. Now, it was also known that Jabba the Hutt kept a small fleet of Ubrikkian Bantha-II skiffs at his palace on Tatooine, and whenever he went cruising along Tatooine's Dune Sea on his luxury sail barge, he always had at least two of them accompany him while they were fully loaded with guards. Now, they were stored in the vehicle pool at his desert palace, and his skiffs were maintained by the Klatooinian Barada, along with his other repulsor craft. And the Bantha-II skiffs had also come modified for the harsh Tatooine climate, but the Hutt had them altered even further. The addition of light armor meant that they were able to withstand impacts and the light weapons fire attacks by Tusken Raiders that had become common by the time Jabba took delivery of his new skiffs. And then, the Hutt had weapons hardpoints fitted to the rails of the skiffs, allowing light laser cannons to be fitted as and when required. Now, Jabba used his skiff fleet to conduct raids on settlements that refused his protection, and so the weapons saw frequent use, but he didn't bother adding additional protection for the exposed crews. Mercenaries were an expendable resource, easily and cheaply replaced, and the last addition Jabba insisted on for his skiffs were the extendable gangplanks, essentially longer versions of basic cargo ramps. Now, these had nothing to do with the loading of goods or any other mundane functions, however, because they were purely for allowing Jabba the twisted delight of watching prisoners walking out over the gaping beaked maw of the Sarlacc before falling to their deaths. Now, Jabba had the usual pair of Bantha-II skiffs escort him on his final journey out to the Great Pit of Carkoon. One carried Luke Skywalker, Han Solo and Chewbacca, guarded by some of the Hutt's mercenaries, and a disguised Lando Calrissian, and the other skiff carried a motley bunch of slightly inebriated guards, eager and ready to watch a simple execution. Now, although Jabba had his skiffs fitted with light armor and weapon mounts, the vehicles were still hugely inappropriate for combat, and were unstable at high speeds. As was shown over the Great Pit of Carkoon in Return of the Jedi, where the slightest damage saw the repulsor lift core was shut down, which caused the skiff to lift alarmingly or could make it flip over entirely. Coaxing them back to life took a skilled pilot, which is why it was fortunate for Luke and his friends that they had Lando Calrissian with them to fly them to safety. And the rebels escaped, destroying Jabba's sail barge and one skiff, and stealing the other to get them back to the Falcon and off Tatooine. And that is pretty much the Ubrikkian Bantha-II Cargo Skiff and the modified versions used by Jabba the Hutt in a nutshell. So, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, I'll talk to you all on the next one, and until then, may the Force be with you.